Greetings, I'm the man behind the mask, and I'd like to talk to you about hockey. Yes, let's talk about hockey, the show that journeys through the history of the sport of ice hockey from its disputed origins to the game we see today. Nowadays, when a crowd is trying to rally their team forward to victory, you may very well see many of them waving towels in the air as they shout encouragements to their players from the stands. But how does waving a towel help? And when did the idea that it would catch on? Well, I'm glad you asked.
Late in the 1981-82 season, the Vancouver Canucks head coach, Harry Neale, was suspended for 8 games after jumping into the crowd during a game in Quebec to retaliate against a fan that had punched one of his players. With only 4 games left in the season, Neale's suspension also carried over for the first 4 games of the playoffs. During this suspension, assistant coach Roger Nielsen took over the head coaching duties for Vancouver and led the Canucks to a first-round sweep of the Calgary Flames. However, when the suspension was up, Neale recommended to Vancouver's general manager Jake Milford that he keep Nielsen as head coach for the remainder of the playoffs, believing the team had bonded under his guidance. So, with Nielsen remaining as head coach, the Canucks eliminated the LA Kings in the second round of playoff action and advanced to the Western Conference Finals to face the Chicago Blackhawks. It was in Game 2 of this series that, while trailing the Blackhawks 3-1, Vancouver felt that the referee was making questionable calls against them. During the second period, Vancouver had a goal disallowed, then had a 4th consecutive penalty called against them that resulted in a Chicago power play goal, giving the Blackhawks a 4-1 lead. Vancouver forward Tiger Williams then suggested to Nielsen that he throw sticks onto the ice in protest. Nielsen noted that he had done that before and that he had a better idea. He proceeded to take a white towel and place it on the end of a hockey stick, holding it up in a mock surrender, with some of his players following suit. Nielsen was then ejected from the game, along with 3 players, and later was personally fined $1,000 while the franchise was fined $10,000 as a result of the incident. However, Vancouver goaltender Richard Brodeur later noted that although they lost the game, the atmosphere in the locker room was so positive it felt as if they had won.
The referee from the game later called Nielsen's action Bush League, while NHL Executive Vice President Brian O'Neill stated that the mock surrender disgraced the championship series. But when the Canucks returned home, they were greeted at the airport by fans waving towels in support of the team.
Then, during Game 3, fans again waved towels to show their support. Local vendors even went as far as to start selling white towels outside of the arena. Vancouver went on to win Game 3 by a score of 4-3 to take the lead in the series. And for Game 4, there were even more fans waving towels as the Canucks won again 5-3. Vancouver would then go on to win Game 5 in Chicago and advance to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in their club's history. Though the charm wouldn't help in the Stanley Cup Finals, as Vancouver was swept by the New York Islanders, the ritual had been established. Today, to continue the tradition, the Vancouver organization now produces over 20,000 white towels sporting the Canucks logo for each playoff game, and hangs one on each seat in the arena. Since the takeoff of Vancouver's tradition, several other hockey teams, as well as teams from other sports, have implemented towel waving too. But the home of the original towel wavers in the NHL still is, and always will be, in Vancouver.